Hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. This is a 30-year reflection of the October 3rd, 1987 edition of WWE's Saturday Night Main Event, which actually was notable for a couple things. I mean, mainly just for one particular big handshake. Yeah, dig it. I can't do a Randy Savage impression at all. I actually had this written down on my reflections list for the rest of this year and had to be reminded by @MugsySam on Twitter about doing it because I was just going to shoot it right after SmackDown and after I got home. But I figured why not shoot it now? So I'm actually shooting this at about 4 p.m. my time, and then I got to rush out the door and get to my best friend's house for SmackDown, so that'll be fun. But I watched this, and it was only 66 minutes, and if you cut out little bits of it, you can actually make it a lot quicker. I mean, I didn't. I watched the whole damn thing, but it was still really fun. But the one thing I want to point out is the dubbed-in crowd noise was so obvious. Now, I'm not saying the fans weren't cheering big and happy to see Savage, Hogan, and a few others, but man, this was a really dubbed-in crowd-heavy episode. I mean, still though, it was really nice that they started with short promos for Savage, Honky Tonk Man, King Kong Bundy, Sika, and Hulk Hogan. That was really, really cool, nice little... It was in front of blue screen with, graphics and everything, but it was still really, really cool, graphics like the logos for the various wrestlers. And I start off with what I thought maybe should have honestly closed the show was Savage and Honky Tonk Man for the Icy Title, which was decent. It did end in a DQ. You did have Savage, who was way over. Honky just could never... Maybe he was just never allowed to wrestle much in WWE. I mean, he had the character down. I'll give him that much credit. He was easy to hate as a heel, but my God, Honky Tonk just could not wrestle for shit. He was, don't get me wrong though, way over as far as the crowd's getting, wanting to see him get hurt. But I mean, she put him up against almost anybody. He just couldn't work. But he could get the crowd to hate him by his mannerisms. At least there was that. But like I said, Savage was really over. Jimmy Hart interfered. He was a great heel here. He did end up eventually getting knocked out. The Hart Foundation did come out, took Jimmy Hart to the back, and then after commercial break was out there in Honky's corner. And of course Miss Elizabeth out there with Savage. Looks like Savage is almost ready to get the win. Hart Foundation interferes, beats down Savage, beats him down. It takes quite a while actually to get to the main point of Honky Tonk having a guitar, and he's about to hit Randy Savage. Miss Elizabeth gets in the way, gets shoved out of the way after a bit. Lightly shoved out of the way, I might add, because no one wants to get killed by Randy for touching his woman and hurting his woman. And then Honky, Miss Elizabeth runs to the back. Honky hits Savage with the guitar. And they're gloating and everything, and then Hogan comes out, not a moment too late, because that's what Hogan did, hog the spotlight and everything. Even though at this point he was the champion. But they have the handshake. Hogan saves Savage, but they have the handshake and everything. Hogan chases off the Hart Foundation. And Honky Tonk, after Savage, helps a little bit too, after he comes to. And it was fine. I mean, it was fine. It was really, really cool. The Mega Powers do form and everything. They didn't explode yet. It is a really cool landmark moment to see Savage and Hogan shake hands, even though 90% of fans would agree that Savage is better than Hulk Hogan ever was. At least in the ring. And don't get me wrong, Hogan was a big part of pop culture, so was Randy Savage. And I just always feel that there's that cluster of fans that just doesn't want to admit that Savage is better than Hogan. But anyway, just go on with that. It was still cool to see the handshake and everything. And then you had Hulk Hogan versus Sika, formerly of the Wild Samoans. Weird to see him compete for the WWE Championship here. It was decent. It wasn't anything spectacular. Sika at this point was pretty much near the end of his career. I think he wrestled a couple more years after this. He can still move pretty well. There's one point, like going into a commercial break and coming back, Hogan had enough of Mr. Fuji's interference and shenanigans, so he grabs the cane and everything, and he's arguing with the referees. There's two referees out there, Dave Hebner, and I didn't catch the other guy's name. But they're arguing over the cane. And they go to commercial, and they're still arguing over the cane, and of course they get rid of it, and it seemingly took about 4 years. But there's a lot of interference from Kimchi and Fuji. It was a quick finish, though, after it looked like Sika. I mean, Sika wasn't going to win. There was no way. But after having, an advantage for quite a while, Hogan manages to slam him, hit a leg drop. I mean, hit a leg drop from a pretty impressive, point of view, or a pretty impressive angle. Covers him 1, 2, 3. And Hogan stands tall at the end. Was what it was. Yet Bobby Heenan was great on commentary throughout the night, throwing shots at Miss Elizabeth like, see, a woman has no place at ringside, and various stuff, and just siding with the heels, and it was great. And his hatred of Hogan was just so wonderful. I don't remember, a lot of the lines mixed together, so I recommend you guys watch this episode, and you'll see what I mean. Then, of course, you have Paul Orndorff versus King Kong Bundy. One of the last matches I think that Orndorff had in a WWE ring. It's often forgotten about the fact that after that Saturday night's main event cage match that he had with Hogan on the 3rd of January in '87, he was used on TV but wasn't used as often. I mean, a lot of people tend to forget that he actually had a babyface run at one point with Sir Oliver Humperdinck as his manager. Bundy, of course, was there. Paul had a decent amount of offense. Bundy was, of course, a big monster who actually could move pretty damn well. But it was an okay match. Heenan at one point was getting frustrated because Orndorff just wouldn't stay down. He would keep fighting back. So Heenan leaves commentary, goes to the back, had a surprise, and it was Andre the Giant making his return to the ring after having successful back surgery. And, his last match being at WrestleMania 3. A lot of people didn't think they'd see Andre again. Also, he had that great role in Princess Bride. That was a great movie. But Andre ends up helping King Kong Bundy, holds the tights of Paul Orndorff. Avalanche in the corner, covers him 1, 2, 3. Good stuff. And then we only had like 14 minutes left, and then they had one more match, and it was a tag title match. So there was three title matches tonight, or on the show, which was actually pretty nice. You had the Young Stallions, Paul Roma and Jim Powers. I've forgotten about as being pretty good workers. I mean, since they really didn't have anything going creatively, it was a good thing that they, put them together. That was really cool. versus the Hart Foundation. Jimmy Hart not out there, still selling the whole punch that, as opposed to half the punch that he took from Savage. It was pretty decent. It was quick though. It was like really quick. It was very fast paced. They crammed a lot of spots. They probably crammed about, I would say, 12 minutes worth of spots into about 6 minutes. But it was okay. I mean, the Young Stallions were never going to be any more than a jobber tag team, but they had a pretty cool theme, I thought. Crank It Up by Jimmy Hart. And so, yeah, the Hart Foundation retained because, of course, they were going to. Then you had Hogan and Savage with another handshake. Hogan, if we shake hands again, I'm afraid the universe or the world's going to explode. Or the universe is going to explode. Hogan said a lot of things that made no sense. It must have been all them roids, brother. But it was cool. Mega Powers form. And they had a pretty good run. I always thought that they should have gotten a tag title run. But I get why they didn't. I mean, because at the time, Savage would have been champion, and you really didn't want to put 2 titles on somebody. Not that that was unheard of. I'm just not, I guess, in retrospect, I'm not surprised they didn't do it. That was pretty cool. That was the main point of this whole show, was seeing of the Saturday night's main event, was watching Hogan and Savage form this bond and everything. Even though they were unlikely allies and they'd had heat in the past on TV and everything, and probably even in real life, since Hogan just couldn't stay out of Savage's, had to be in Savage's, limelight and spotlight and everything. And then I had the Pile Driver music video, which is so ridiculous. And Billy Jack Haynes, Bam Bam Bigelow, Hogan, Coco Beware, and various others on a construction site. It was so damn ridiculous. But it was so fun. I mean, that was a nice little thing at the end of the video. Or the little end of this episode. So yeah, it was just weird to see the dubbed in, or hear the dubbed in crowd noise that much. I mean, because I think the crowd would have been pretty hot, but who knows? It was just oddly placed. It was just very, very odd. But good notable matches. No title changes, of course. But everything made sense. And you had Hogan and Savage form their bond. Everything. So it actually worked out pretty well. So anyway, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed this little trip down memory lane, 30-year reflection of the Saturday Night's Main Event episode on October 3rd, 1987. Do you guys want to see me do more of these reflection shows? I mean, I already have some lined up anyway, but are there some events, some matches that you want me to talk about that maybe I might not be aware of? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe also. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you soon.